So it's a great pleasure to welcome our first speaker, Françoise Brochard-Viart, who is it's not too impolite to say for many decades.
Yes, many decades.
a world-leading experimentalist in the field of soft matter physics
I am
generally.
11 September.
It's your birthday today. Very nice. You should have warned us we'd have had a cake.
Many decades.
Anyway, so without further ado, let me hand over to Françoise to tell us about bursting with condense or mechanics of cellular granules. Perfect.
Thank you. I am very happy to be back to Cambridge. We have good memories with Sam Edwards in Cambridge or in Les Houches or in Paris, where he was visiting Pierre Gilles. I think Pierre Gilles and Sam were able to speak together. And I remember in a meeting, Sam made a huge calculation. We were all lost. And Pierre Gilles asked about little details. So they were really working a lot together. So I will describe the last work I have done on these granules, which are either the condensate or the gas vesicule. And this work has been done in collaboration with the group of Aalto in Finland. And I see a little corner of my soft matter garden because I was asked to speak of soft matter, and it's a very broad subject. And when I went back to this problem and the bursting of condensate, I was going back to my work on wetting. I worked maybe 10 years on wetting and dewetting, and all this work is in this book, Gouttes, Bulles, Perles et Ondes. So in my talk, I will come back to the work we have done before, because to understand the bursting of condensate, I will use what we have done on the bursting of droplet, vesicule, and so on. So we have a new technique, which is done in Aalto, and said by Gregory Bone and Jaakko in the Jaakko Timonen group, where instead to use the hydrostatic setup to the pipette to suck the droplet, they use this piezoelectric pressure controller. So it allows to look at fast dynamics and to go from a very small pressure to huge pressure, whereas the hydrostatic setup is limited. So with this setup, we have been looking all these subjects from droplets, quersavit, jelly beads, vesicule, and gas vesicule now. And I will describe the green stuff. So this is when we start the aspiration technique. We start with the spheroid, the cellular aggregates. And we never thought that they will behave. They do not, it does not work. No. Yes. No, I got to go back here. Oh, what happens? The movie, normally, this one, I have to do it by hand. When we start to work on this cellular aggregate, we never thought that they will behave like simple droplets. It was a surprise for us to understand that they really behave like droplets, except that they have some active response. So if you, from this aspiration, you can measure the surface energy of these aggregates, and you find that the surface energy will depend upon the aspiration pressure, whereas for a liquid, it's a constant. And we also observe what we name the shivering. In a narrow range of pressure, you have an active response of the cell, and this gives rise to this, what we name the shivering. But it's not the subject of the talk today. So it was how we start to work on this aspiration. And from this experiment, you can derive all the mechanical properties of this aggregate. So you can measure the surface, the elastic modulus, because they are viscoelastic. So at short time, they behave like a solid. and from this part you measure the elastic modulus, and at long time they flow like a liquid, and you measure the viscosity. But what you find, I told you that the surface tension of this aggregate increased with the pressure applied. And you see that the surface tension is large compared to surface tension we are used to have in vesicle and system like this. So now I go to the case of condensate. So these droplets, they are made from the phase separation of PEG and dextran. And you suck a droplet rich in dextran. So this is what I will show you now. Yes, you can see the aspiration. And from the plot of L versus time, as I told you, you can measure all the viscoelastic properties of the condensate, the elastic modulus and the viscosity and the surface tension. So what you see now is that the surface tension of this condensate, they are extremely small. So you have a system with very low interfacial tension. So when you can approach the critical point, this is the phase diagram of this polymer mixture. And when this is named the tie line, and when this tie line becomes shorter and shorter, you approach the critical points and the surface tension goes to 0. So I will show you an experiment done close to the critical point. And you see the time you need to separate the two phases. It's 10 days, because all these systems have such a low interfacial tension that it takes a lot of time to phase separate. In the physics of condensate, because these systems are so slow, when the people speak about arrested coalescence, sometimes they say it's because they are too slow to go to the two phases. So this is so what we from this experiment, as for the you can measure all the properties, and here you have the two cases where you have this system is near the critical phase separation, and you see that you see here the surface tension goes up to 20 micronewton per meter. And you see that the tension becomes smaller and smaller. And this you have application when you have surface with such a low interfacial tension. You can look at the spherofluid instabilities, and you find that the scale of these instabilities, instead to be in the range of millimeter, go to micro pattern because the surface tension becomes so small. And there is also active nematic fluctuation studied by Christine Marchetti, where you use the fact that this tension is so small that the fluctuations are huge. So to measure you can also measure the viscosity of this condensate by aggregate fusion. So we did also the fusion of the spheroids. And here you see an experiment where you have the fusion. In that case, the black cells, they have particles, they have adsorbed particles, so it's why they are black. And here you see that when they fuse, the question is, do these black and white cells mix? And you shall see that after a long time, they do mix, because it's always a question when you have the fusion of aggregate. Some people think that the cell never mix, but they mix, but after a lot of time, you see that they penetrate. And from this, you can measure the diffusion coefficient of one cell in a tissue from this experiment. So to interpret this experiment, we will use the Frankel liquid model. For highly viscous space, we have produced another model, but I will not enter in this, because for our condensate, the Frankel model is fine. So when you measure the surface of contact between the two versus time, you can extract gamma over eta, the capillary velocity. So this is what is done here for the condensate. So here you see the fusion of condensate. You see nothing. And now, for the aggregate, the fusion was few days. And here you see that the fusion is less than second. The fusion is very fast. And from this, you have a separate measurement of the viscosity of the condensate, if you know the surface tension. So now we go to this, what we name hollow condensate or condensate with a shell, because we start to look at the suction of this condensate, which are made by the spider silk protein. So when they make this condensate and they suck the condensate, they find this bursting. So when I show this picture, I say, wow, they have a shell. I was not a shell. I do not know that there are condensates which are named hollow condensate because they are condensate with a shell. And they burst like soap bubbles. So we start to be interested in the bursting of this condensate. So here you see better. So you see the suction of the condensate. Here you see the penetration. It's very nice in this case because you have the penetration and then you have the bursting. So it's very nice because from the penetration, you can measure the surface tension of the condensate. And you can use this to interpret the bursting after. So we do not have always a case where we see both the penetration and the bursting. So we go back to the deluge. It was the bursting of soap film is inertial regime, which is not at all what we are going to see. But it was when we start to look at the bursting, we start with the bursting of suspended film and bubbles. So in that case, it's inertial. So it's not at all the case we are going to look at now. So what is more important for us is the bursting of ultra-viscous film, which was studied by Georges de Brejas also a long time ago in his PhD. And maybe you were in the jury, no, I am not sure. No. But we were amazed that when you look at the bursting of this polymer film, so he makes the polymer film by solvent evaporation, and he used ultra-viscous polymer. And when they burst, we saw no rim, because in all the case of de-wetting, we have always a rim surrounding the hole, collecting the liquid. Here, the film remains completely flat. And I remember when we saw this, we do not understand, and it takes time to understand that because we have plug flow in this viscous film, instead to have Poiseuille flow, you have Lagrange flow and you have no rim. So all the thickness of the film remains constant, and the film is flat, you see here. And from the gain of surface energy dissipated in this viscous flow, which are due to the flow, the radial flow in the film, eta is the viscosity of the film, is the thickness, so this is the surface viscosity. From the balance of the viscous dissipation and the energy gain, you find that the velocity of bursting is gamma over eta, which is extremely small for this polymer, but multiplied by the radius of the hole divided by the thickness of the film. So this factor can be huge, and you need a fast camera to look at the bursting of this ultra-viscous film. So this was still Georges de Brejas. So after the film, he looked at the bubbles, and I will show you the bursting. I am very pleased to be able to find, oh, where is it? No, I have to do it by hand, because I want to show you this movie, because it's a very old movie, you see, the movie of the bursting. And it's difficult to keep such movie for a long time. I have difficulty to find it again. But you see, our condensates are not really like viscous bubble because you have a liquid inside, so it will be different. And I like also to show you this Morris and Kraft picture, because they were this couple look, but it's... Alors, Now we go to a similar case because now we have this vesicle, and when the vesicle is under tension, do they burst like so bubble? This is the question. Here you see the fluctuation of the vesicle. This movie was done by Olivier Sandre because the vesicle is in a viscous liquid. Because in water you cannot see this, you see just the spherical, because the fluctuations are so fast that you cannot see the contour. But here you see really the fluctuation of the vesicle. And under illumination, they get tense. And what happens where they are tense? You see a hole open and close. But when we saw this picture, we were working on the cellular adhesion, and Olivier Sandre was looking at the adhesion of vesicle on the surface. In the case of non-specific adhesion, when the adhesion was strong, the vesicle burst. So I tell him, oh, it's too fast, you have to put the vesicle in a viscous liquid. And when he put the vesicle in a viscous liquid, we saw this, so a vesicle make maybe 20 such pores. And we can follow the closure of the pore, and we can repeat the experiment. We have 20 pores with one vesicle. So it's very accurate. And from the closure, you can measure the line tension of the hole. And we look at the role of edge actant on the line tension, and we find that twin vin can decrease the line tension, and the closure, instead to be second, becomes minutes. And so it was, we were amazed to see this for the first time. So now these pores, they become fashionable many years later because transient pores are observed now in the nucleus. So all our paper of that time now, they start to be read in now, and I have to report on many papers on the transient pore in the nucleus. But in that case, in our case, we have a rim, because the case, why is the vesicle closed? Because when you have the vesicle, they have an almost zero interfacial surface tension, and when the pore comes, you have a leak out, and you decrease the tension, and that's why the pore close. So it's nice because your red blood cells, for instance, they are not in danger to burst, like so bubble. But in our case of condensate, they do burst. And what we have seen is that the film, the condensate is not a film like a vesicle at zero interfacial tension. So you have a tension, and the friction of the film with the liquid will give rise to the formation of a rim. So this is what is shown here. When in the Georges Dorejas experiment, when the film is suspended, you have no rim. But if the viscous film is deposited on the substrate, now, and you look at the bursting, now you see the formation of a rim because of the friction with the substrate. So in the case of the condensate, it is exactly this. We will start like the suspended film, and we will have the formation of the rim, and we will go to another regime where the friction in the film is no more dominant, but the friction on the rim becomes dominant. So you have these two regimes. And this is what was studied here. We look at how the bursting of this, oh, now I go back to this. Wow. Look at the formation of the rim versus time. So when the driving force is balanced by two friction. You have the friction in the film and the friction with the substrate. And you find a critical radius where you start to see the formation of the rim. So this is what we have used for the case of the condensate. So here you see some aspiration of condensate. In this spider protein, they change the N group. So you go from protein which are highly cohesive, which make dimers, to non-associating protein. And for each of them, we saw the bursting of the condensate, but with different properties. So here you have some cases with this FN is this one here. So you see here the association constant, and when you increase, you are less and less associating. So you have several cases. What is interesting is that you can have some relay instability of the film inside the pipette. You see clearly here that the tongue is not stable, and you give rise to this sort of relay instability, which is not observed usually with vesicle. So how do we interpret this data? So first, from the suction here, you can measure the surface tension and the viscosity of the film. So the dynamics is ruled by the equation used for the vesicles, where you balance the driving force due to the aspiration, the mechanical force, is balanced by the friction force associated to the flow of the film inside the pipette. And this was calculated by Needham. This is the friction force, and the balance of the two gives the velocity of penetration, and the velocity of penetration gives a measurement of the membrane viscosity. But when you stop the pressure, you have the relaxation, and the difference between the velocity of aspiration and the velocity of relaxation, the ratio of the two give a measurement of delta Pc, which is directly related to the surface tension. So from the retraction, when you compare the aspiration and the retraction, you can measure the surface tension. So you have both the surface tension and the viscosity of the condensate. So I think I am, no. So now to understand the bursting, we write as before. We have two. We have a transfer of the gain of surface energy is dissipated by two dissipation, a dissipation inside the film and the dissipation due to the motion of the rim. So when you look at the bursting, you see the formation of the rim, and you have these two regimes. First, at a very short time before the rim is formed, you have this exponential regime, like for the de Broglie experiment, and then you go to a linear growth when you have the rim, like in the dewetting phenomena. So from this, looking the radius versus time, we can measure the bulk viscosity and the surface viscosity of the film. So this is what is done here. I don't think that we can have time for this. But how do we? The problem is we do not have a direct measurement of the thickness of the film. And the only measurement we have is to look at the size of the rim. And from the size of the rim, we can estimate the shell thickness. And we find for the shell thickness a value which is much larger than the molecular size. So because first we saw that we have a molecular film of protein adsorbed at the interface, but in fact this thickness is too large. So we think that we have still the question to understand what is the origin of the shell, because this is 0.2 micron is too large to be a molecular thickness. So what do we know about this shell? So condensate, if you look at the literature of the condensate with a shell, you have the case where if you look at the phase separation of multi-component system, you can have several phases and they organize in what they name Russian dolls. So you have a succession of layers, but they are stable, they do not burst. So you have a paper on this in Soft Matter, where they calculate the phase diagram of multi-component system. But in our case, we have n equal 1. We are not in this case. And you have the case of active droplets. So you have this beautiful work, and I will show you now, where you have the mechanism of spinodal decomposition is used to interpret how the droplet become unstable and give rise to a shell. So I will show you the experiment done and interpreted by Frank Jülicher, and you will see what it means. So here you see the experiment of Beckhoven in Munich, where he used a precursor. The fuel is this molecule, and the precursor and the fuel give rise to the product, which interact with this polyanion, and they phase separate, so they make a droplet. But the product is not stable, so it degrades. So after degradation, the density inside the droplet gets smaller and smaller, and when the concentration of the droplet is smaller than the concentration of the spinodal, the droplet becomes unstable and gives rise to a shell. So the formation of a shell is based on this spinodal instability, because you need to have a decrease of the concentration of this droplet. So first, the droplet coexists with a dilute solution, and if the concentration by any means decrease below the spinodal concentration, the droplet becomes unstable. So the spinodal instability is used to interpret the formation of shell. So now nothing with this. This is another case of bursting. I like to show you this. It was a bursting induced by light. It was done by with Minwee Lee, collaboration with Pierre Nassois. Elias Mabrouk was a student, and you see this beautiful bursting induced by light. So this is another case of bursting. I think it's a... So the system is just asymmetric polymerisome, and under illumination, the two layers of the polymerisome change their surface. So under illumination, you find that this layer, the surface of this layer, get larger. So doing this, you increase the surface and you find that they burst. So Minwee Lee asked me, Françoise, tell us why it bursts. I say, if you increase the surface, usually it does not burst. But then I remember I was coming back from Harvard, and I show in the group of Mahadevan the curling of paper. So you store curvature energy, because this layer gets larger than this one. And if you make a hole, you will relax the curvature energy. So this is what is done. Here you see that the store elastic energy is responsible of the bursting, and you have a bursting where you see the curling of the layer here. But in this case, you do not see the curling. But when they make this, or the complementary case, the rim is outside. So you clearly see the bursting and the formation of the... So there is still the question for us to understand why this hollow condensate, while the spider protein makes this hollow condensate. Maybe we have a denaturation of the protein, impurities, adsorption at the interface. If you start with a droplet and the protein adsorb in a dense layer, you decrease the concentration of the droplet, and maybe it becomes unstable. So we still don't know why the condensate forms this layer, and this is underway. And I don't know if I have time for the second part. I have 10 minutes or 5? 5, yeah. So the second part is on the gas vesicule, and there is a huge activity on gas vesicule started in Stanford, because this gas vesicule, they are used as contrast agent for ultrasound imaging, or also therapeutic agent, because they can kill cells through cavitation. So when you break the gas vesicule, you have an air bubble, and with depending upon the frequency of the ultrasound, you can explode. You can have this cavitation and kill the cell. So this is what is done. With this, the gas vesicles are microscopic, nanoscopic, but to but some other gas vesicles are done at a larger scale. Also, for ultrasound imaging, you need the bubble to be smaller than few microns. So we look at bubbles which are in the size of 100 microns, and we can measure the mechanical properties with the aspiration technique. So here you see the aspiration of this gas vesicle. So yes, you see here, I have 3 cases, here and here. You remark that here it was very fast. The penetration was ultra fast here. And here you see that these 2 gas vesicles, this one is a liquid and this one is a solid. You see the strange shape. So this one is vitreous, and above, when the pressure is above the yield stress, you see the penetration. But when you relax the pressure, you keep the deformation, where this one is a liquid. So we find that depending upon the quantity of polymer adsorbed on the surface, you can be glassy or liquid. But in that case, what happens when we saw this fast penetration, we were surprised. In fact, in that case, the pressure applied is below the yield stress, but you can suck the gas. So in that case, you suck the gas from the gas vesicle here. So I will not go too long, but from the L versus time, you can measure the properties of the gas vesicle and the compressibility modulus. Because when you increase the surface, you increase the tension, and the increase of tension gives rise to a measurement of the compression modulus. So here, this relationship relates the increase of area, increase the tension, and from this you can measure the compression modulus. So I don't want to enter a lot in this, but the case that they are gas, they are compressible. So the only difference with the case of regular vesicle is that because it's a gas, when you compress, you decrease the volume of the gas. So the decrease of the volume of the gas gives rise to a larger penetration. And what you measure is an effective compression modulus, which has to be corrected, but it's not so important. What I want to tell you is also the case of the permeability, because you don't go, if they will be completely, I would say, impermeable, you will go to a plateau, but what you see is a slope. And this slope tells you that the coating is permeable. So from the slope, you can measure the permeability of the vesicle. And you find that you have here, in this linear regime, you find that you have a transfer of surface from the droplet into the pipette, and you reach a stationary state, which is characterized by a stationary tension. So from what is this tension, I will want just to show you this result, because what you always assume when in all these pipette experiments using vesicle, you always assume that when you apply the pressure, you know what is the tension of the vesicle. This is Evans relationship. But if the vesicle is porous, this relationship is no more valid. So you have a regime where you find that the tension is much smaller than what is expected from the classical law. So it will be very interesting to look at this new regime where the vesicle is too porous to maintain a tension. I was always asking me, when we look at the vesicle with protein pores, I was always asking me what is the tension you apply when you apply a pressure. You always assume that the tension is given by this relationship. But this is not always the case. So in this article, we discuss the validity of this expression. So this is just the end. So the conclusion of this gas vesicle, I think that what will be nice for us is to have a check of this new regime where the tension is no more controlled by the events relationship. There is a large, in Curie, we work a lot on this gas vesicle for imaging and also for cell killing. And also these vesicles, they can be used to bring oxygen in tissue, because it's very difficult when you want to simulate this microorganoid. It's very difficult to bring the oxygen, and it's a way to give oxygen to the tissue. So it can be interesting for the organoids. So this is just to show you the people who did the work long time ago. This is after my group was closed in Curie, I went to Tsukuba and we sent the cell to Tsukuba, and with Françoise Wienig for 4 years, we make the Curie lab go to Tsukuba with the same cells, and Nada, we rebuild the micropipette aspiration, and there are many facilities so in Tsukuba we work mainly on the combination of microparticles and cells, how microparticles and cells interact, so either as nanosticker or microparticle. And Françoise Wienig passed away very brutally 2 years ago. So it was, and here this is a group of Curie with all the colleagues. So, and to end, I just want to tell you that our books are translated in Chinese. Even this one is used only in Norway or in Finland. Only the country in the north, they use this book. Nobody in France maybe use this one. But in the north, and now in the Chinese. So I am very proud because I get the Chinese version of this book. Because I don't know why. You see, it was done before the fire of Notre Dame. You see the flesh, but now the flesh is rebuilt. Here you have the flesh. I took this picture and they put it on this book. This book is published in England, but now we have this Chinese. And even this book, L'extraordinaire Pierre-Gilles de Gennes, aux éditions Odile Jacob, was almost not read also in France. Odile Jacob refused the translation in English, which is not nice because I think that Pierre-Gilles was half English. And I don't know why, but the Chinese, they do translate this also. So it's the end. Oh, thank you.
So I've gone about the very first movie where the bursting off. So you draw it into the pipette.
Yes.
And then it's when you let go.
We can have all cases now.
Okay.
Yes.
It goes at any point.
Yes, it depends. So sometimes we cannot even, we do not see the suction. It bursts immediately. So in that case, we cannot have the measurement of the surface tension because we do not have the penetration. So the bursting can be very fast. When you take 2 droplets, yes. A droplet will not burst. You speak about...
Ease the waste.
you take a droplet and you squeeze. Yes, but what it means, the bursting of a droplet, I am not sure to understand this. You have the bursting of a capsule. You speak about the shell. No, I was thinking, no, because first we saw that we have droplets and the droplet cannot burst. So the shell, well, yes. when you, yes, you're right, you can induce the bursting because you increase the surface tension, yes. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, good, nice, thank you. No, they measure they have picture, IFM picture, so they can look at the size of the pore, of the protein coating. They do have the size of the pore, yes. And the porosity is not, the measurement of the porosity is not far from what you expect with the size of the pore of the protein layer.
What about high porosity and low porosity? High and low relative to what? Just three lengths here. Probably like the size of the tube in a diameter.
Our criterion was based on the two characteristic time. We have the penetration time due to the viscous penetration of the layer inside the pipette, and we have the leak out time. And we compare these two times. It's what we name this Q parameter. So maybe I want to show you this here, because I have no time at all to enter in this. Scaling, this is the main parameter, the ratio of these two times. Because if the leak out time is much larger than the penetration time, you go to the classical picture. In the case where the leak out is so fast, you cannot reach this. So we compare these two times to define this criterion, which we name this parameter the sealing parameter Q, but nobody measures it up to now. We would like to have the measurement of this parameter by looking vesicule with more and more pores to go from the classical regime to the leak out regime. But you can increase the number of pores in the vesicule. And I have always this question. We work a lot on the extrusion of tube from porous vesicule. And I was asking myself, are we right to use this relationship between the tension and the pressure? And I have always this question. And recently, I saw that now I have the answer. But I think that we need experiments to check this.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you.
Ron, thank you.